Hello and welcome to Percy Headley Foundation's podcast series on Positive Behaviour Support. I'm Barry Reid, a Positive Behaviour Support coach and Deputy Head Teacher at Percy Headley School. Before we get started, I'd like you to think about the following scenarios and how you'd respond to each of these. You're working with a service user, or if you're a parent listening to this, your child, and they are unable to do one of the following: reading, writing, swimming, or even driving a car. How would you respond? The answer is, we would teach them. So what would we do in a situation where a person didn't know how to behave correctly, or didn't know how to behave in the most socially acceptable way? Often people find filling in the blank to that last scenario challenging, and don't often see behaviour as something which can be taught. Throughout your lifetime, you may have seen or heard adult responses which take the form of punishment, such as a parent telling their child to go to their room or saying they cannot have an ice cream because of their behaviour. We now know that adult responses which take the form of punishment are less effective in preventing behaviours of concern. So we've established that behaviour can be taught. Now if we take a second to think about this, that means that all behaviour is learned, including less desirable and socially acceptable behaviours. Individuals who present with behaviours of concern have learned that their behaviours are effective in meeting their wants and needs. The good news is we can teach alternative, more socially acceptable behaviours to replace their behaviours of concern. Now let's look at what Positive Behaviour Support is, often referred to as PBS for short. PBS is a person-centred framework for providing long-term support to people with learning disabilities and/or autism, including those with mental health conditions who have or may be at risk of developing behaviours of concern. The overall purpose of Positive Behaviour Support is to improve the quality of a person's life and that of the people around them. PBS provides the right support for a person, their families and friends to help people lead a meaningful life and learn new skills without unnecessary restrictions. A key principle of PBS is that behaviours of concern always happen for a reason and may be the person's only way of communicating unmet needs. PBS helps us to understand the reason for the behaviour so we can better meet people's needs, enhance their quality of life and reduce the likelihood that the behaviour will happen. So why is this important? Well, I would like to invite you to think about what the life of an adult with behaviours of concern might look like. How would you feel if you were in your house most of the day, not taking part in preferred activities, and spending most of your time with the same people? Having experienced the restrictions with COVID-19, we should be able to relate to this. The likelihood is this would negatively impact on your quality of life and your behaviour. The PBS framework consists of 10 elements, which form 3 key themes. The first being values. The values adopted by PBS focus on human rights, self-determination, and normalisation, which means supporting an individual to become a valued member of their community. The second is theory and evidence-based. PBS is an evidence-based practice founded on decades of research, which has formed an understanding that behaviours of concern serve important functions for those who display them. They develop and are maintained within a context of a person's abilities, needs and circumstances, and crucially, the characteristics of the social and physical environment within which the behaviours occur. The third theme is process, which we'll come on to talk about in our next podcast.